Good afternoon, dear students. We were reading chapter The Great Stone Phase 1. So yesterday we have come to know that there was one of the boy named Ernest. Okay. Whenever he was looking at rocks, mountains, from a very far place, every time one of the image, one of the face was reflected from that. So he was so eager to know actually who is that, who was that. So he shared this experience with his mother. So mother told, yes, that there is one of the forecasting. What is the forecasting? That one day one of the person would be entering there in their village, okay, and his face would be, you can say, same like that face which is of stone face. So the boy at that time, he was too young, so he believed that story, and mother also felt relaxed that she did not bother about this thing too much because she did not want to break all his hopes. Okay, because boy was having lots of hopes from that story, because he started expecting in reality, yes, in reality one of the person would be coming and he would be able to see that person, because whenever he was looking at that image was giving him so much comfort. He was feeling so soothing after looking at that image. So whenever he was free, he used to sit at the door of his cottage and he was looking at those stone face, uh, he was looking at those rocks continuously, and when that stone face was reflected among that rocks, he was feeling so relaxed, and he was thinking that if this image is giving me so much soothing effect, so pleasing, so the person who would be coming in that area, who would be resembling that image, so definitely the voice of that person would be definitely be pleasing. So that's why what happened, he eagerly started waiting for that person. And in his childhood, he was very nice person, earnest. He always used to assist his mother in her household work, in any of the work, okay, and he was very mild, very soft spoken kind of person, and when he grew up, he also developed such kind of personality. But still, when he grew up, still he was having same hope that one day that person would be visiting their village and he would be able to meet that person. Still he was having those hopes, okay. So he was having a hope that he would be able to see that person. So such kind of mentality he developed in his mind. So by the time when he was expecting that that person would come, at that time there was one of the rumor that spread in whole of the valley. What was that? That there is one person, the name of the person is Gather Gold, okay, and that person lived at very far away place in one of the seaport, okay. He has settled there, okay, and he was working as a shopkeeper there, okay. He was having some of the business matters, that's why he has become so much rich. And now he is so rich that these expressions are given that it would take 100 years to count his wealth. It means he was having a lot of wealth, okay. Now he wanted to, that person, he wanted to visit the same place where he had taken birth, okay, where he was born. So when that rumor spread, afterwards, what happened? Now let's start reading about this thing. Now, Akul, you read.
Yes. Ernest had been deeply stirred by the idea that the great man, the noble man, the man of prophecy, after so many ages of delay, was at length to be seen in his native valley. While the boy was still gazing up the valley one day and imagining that the great stone face returned his gaze, the noise of wheels was heard, and a crowd of people cried, "Here comes a great Mr. Gathergold!" A carriage, drawn by four horses, dashed round the turn of the road. Within it, thrust partly out of the window, appeared the face of an old man with yellow skin. The very image of the great stone face, shouted the people. Sure enough, the old prophecy is true. Here we have the great man at last. And what greatly puzzled Ernest, they seemed actually to believe that here was a likeness which they spoke of. He turned away sadly from the wrinkled shrewdness of that unpleasant face and gazed up the valley, where the stone face seemed to say, "He will come. Fear not, Ernest, the man will come."
Okay, now but his all hopes dashed to ground when what happened basically that person came, Gather Gold came, and finally Gather Gold, that person came into that native valley. Native valley means where he was actually living, where he has taken birth. So native is a place where a person is living. So Ernest was very much, you can say, stirred. Stirred means he was very much moved by the idea of that great man, from that noble man, and the man of prophecy. Prophecy means those who have make that forecasting. Okay, and after so many ages of delay, okay, so after a long period of time, that in that native valley, when that person was seen, so people really became crazy. Okay, and they were just looking at that valley, and they were imagining that this is a great stone face person who has returned. Okay, and the noise of wheel was also heard. There was a lot of crowd of people, and they were all screaming, they were all shouting that yes, Mr. Gathergold, Mr. Gathergold, he has come, he has come. So such kind of things were spreading. Okay, so the one of the carriage came. That carriage was drawn by four horses, and that carriage finally came on the road. And from that, partly means half of the window was open, and then face of the old man with yellow skin. It means that person was too much old, he was having lots of wrinkle on his face. Finally that person came, and when the image of that person was seen, the people started shouting, yes, the image of the great stone face. It means this person resembles that great stone face. Okay, so they were so sure that whatever the prophecy was made, now it has become true, because at last they have got that great man. Okay, but Ernest, he was so puzzled, he was so surprised, he was not able to believe that there was any similarity, there was any resemblance between that old man and that great stone face. He did not you can say have such kind of faith. Okay, so he became so sad, he became so passive, and he went from there. And he did not like that old man person at all, because he thought that this person was not seeming same like that great stone face. Okay, so he was still having that assumption in his mind that the person whose face resembles that great stone face, that person would definitely come. But he, at that time, he got really disappointed. Okay, up to that chapter is clear. Tell me if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Yes, shrewdness means, it means cleverness. Shrewd. Write down the meaning of shrewdness. It means cleverness. Okay. Okay. Now afterwards, we are going to read the second part of this chapter. Okay, Taranya, you start reading.
Yes, ma'am. The years went on, and Ernest grew to be a young man. He attracted little notice from the inhabitants of the valley. They saw nothing remarkable in his way of life, except that when the labor of the day was over, he still loved to gaze upon the great stone face. Their idea was that this was a folly, pardonable because Ernest was industrious, kind, and neighborly. They did not know that the great stone face had become a teacher to him, and that the sentiment which was expressed in it would enlarge the young man's heart and fill it with deeper sympathies than other hearts. They did not know that from this would come a better wisdom than could be learned from books. Neither did Ernest knew that thoughts which came to him so naturally in the fields and at the fireside were a higher tone than those which all men shared with him. A simple soul, simple as when his mother first told him the old story. He beheld the marvelous face looking down the valley and still wondered why its human likeness was so long in coming. By this time, poor
Wait. So up to that, in by reading first paragraph, what story we have come to know. So afterwards, his whole all hopes dashed to ground. Okay, because he was expecting that that person would be coming, but when he saw that person, he did not. He lost all the charm. He did not like that person because he thought that that person is not resembling to great stone face. Now here comes the second phase of the chapter. The second phase of the chapter is the years were going and going. Time was passing on, and now Ernest, who was a young boy, now he has grown up and now he has become a young man. Okay. So there were so many other inhabitants. Inhabitants means the people who were living in that valley. Okay, so that person, he attracted little notice from the inhabitant of the valley. It means he was that the people who were living in that valley. Okay, so he attracted little notice. So it means he was not attractive towards them. Okay, they saw nothing remarkable in his way of life. It means because that boy Ernest, when he grew up like a small, like a normal human being. Okay, so nothing remarkable was noticed in his life. Okay, but only one remarkable thing was that when working for the whole day, when day was over, okay, he really loved to sit at the, you can say, door of his cottage, and he really loved to look at great stone face. This was a part of his routine. Okay, so it was just like a folly means it was just like, you can say, foolishness, but pardonable. But they used to pardon it, they used to forgive it. Okay, why? Because when people were looking at such kind of habit, that that person has now grown up, he has become young man, but still he was looking at that great stone face continuously. So it was really, you can say, foolishness. Because if a child is doing such kind of things, it is endurable, but when a mature person is doing this thing, so it is really, you can say, to some extent it is unbearable. But the people of that area, they were saying that okay, it is pardonable, we can forgive him. Why? What was the reason behind that? Because Ernest was industrious. What is the meaning of industrious? It means hard working. So that person was basically hardworking. He was very much kind, and he was very much neighborly. Neighborly means he was always ready to help neighbors. He was really attached to them. Okay. So they were not known to this thing, the villagers. They were not known to this thing that basically great stone face is basically had, sorry, great stone face had become a teacher to him. Why so? Because the sentiments which he used to notice in that image, that would definitely enlarge the young man's heart, okay, and that could fill it with deeper sympathies than other hearts. It means Ernest, when he grew up and for long hours, for so many time, he used to look at that image. So when he was looking at that image, it means his mind was filling with love. His mind was filling with love, with emotions, with sentiments. Okay, so it means he was inculcating, he was developing different deep sympathies as compared to other hearts. It means this stone face was teaching him something. Okay, so villagers who considered that Ernest was a normal human being, they were not known to this thing that this Ernest is going to have better wisdom. Wisdom means better intelligence that we learn from books. It means whatever the knowledge we get from books, okay, but that knowledge he was getting from great stone face, that was far better, because by looking at that image he was learning to be more sympathetic, he was learning to be more passionate, he was learning to be more, you can say, to be, you can say, engrossed in completely deep thinking. So such kind of things he was continuously learning from great stone face. Okay, even Ernest was also not known to this thing that by looking at that image continuously, he was about to learn something, because what kind of thoughts he was developing, he was inculcating, he was imbibing in himself. Okay, so even he was not knowing to this fact. Clear? So here I have used a word imbibe. Imbibe means that we are learning something, but we are going to, you can say, imbibe, inculcate. It means grasp. That whatever we are learning, whatever we are reading, we are going to imbibe, we are going to inculcate, we are going to grasp in our life. So, okay, so it was going on. And what happened? So Ernest know that the thoughts which came to him, and he thought that whatever the thoughts he was developing in his mind, all these thoughts were naturally, okay, because he was in the field of at the fireside, okay, and sometimes they were of a higher tone than those which all men shared with him. So basically, he was a simple soul. He was very much simple. Okay. And when his mother told him about that old story, okay, so he beheld the marvelous face looking down the valley. It means when the story was told by his mother, so while listening to that story, he was keeping the image of that great stone face in his mind. And he was still so wondered that why this human likeness was so strong in coming. Even he was not aware of this thing, that why he was having such kind of traits, why he was having such kind of qualities in his personality. Okay. So now Anjani, you read further. Yes, Anjani.
Yes, ma'am. By this time, poor Mr. Gathergold was dead and buried. His wealth, which was the body and spirit of his existence, had disappeared before his death. Since the melting away of his gold, it had been generally agreed that there was no great likeness, after all, between the ruined merchant and the majestic face upon the mountain. It so happened that another son of the valley had become a soldier many years before. After a great deal of hard fighting, it was now a famous commander. It was known on the battlefield by the name of Blood and Thunder. Old and tired now, he had lately expressed a desire to return in his native valley. The inhabitants, his old neighbors, and their grown up children prepared to welcome the renowned commander. It was being said that at last the likeness of great stone face was actually appeared. Great, therefore, was the excitement throughout the valley, and many people who had never once thought of glancing at the great stone face now spent much time in gazing at it for the sake of knowing exactly how General Blood and Thunder looked. On the day of General's arrival, Ernest and all the other people of the valley left their work and proceed to the spot where a great banquet had been prepared. Soldiers stood on guard and flags waved and the crown roared. Ernest was standing too far back to see Blood and Thunder's face. However, he could hear several voices. It's the same face exactly, cried one man, dancing for joy. Wonderfully again it. That's a fact, replied another. And why not? Cried the third. It the greatest man of this and any other age. Beyond a doubt, Ernest at last could see the general's face, and in the same glance to the side, he could also see the great stone face. If there was such a likeness as the crowd proclaimed, Ernest could not recognize it. Fear not, Ernest, said his aunt, as if the great stone face was whispering to him, fear not, Ernest, he will come.
Okay. Now that is a very interesting phase of the chapter. This chapter has not come to an end because we have next chapter also, which is the second part of this chapter, because this story has not come to an end. There is still curiosity, there is still climax twist in the chapter, that what will happen. You will be able to see real stone face man or not. Okay. So now this rumor spread that Mr. Gathergold, he was actually resembling that great stone face. Okay. So after that time, that by this time, the poor Mr. Gathergold, he was also dead, and after his death, he was buried. So basically, that person was so much rich. It is given in the chapter now that it really needed a lot of days to count his wealth. It means he was utterly rich. He was immensely rich. So his wealth, which was the body and the spirit of his existence, so had disappeared before his death. Okay. How it disappeared? For example, the melting away of his gold. Okay. There was no great likeness. Okay, because the merchant, who was basically very much rich, who has shifted from that another area, and it was you can say assumption of the people that it really its face really resembled that mountain face, great stone face. So it was, you can say, only assumption of the people. Why so? Because after his death, people forgot about all the things, but Ernest did not find any reality in that. Mr. Gathergold dead, he was buried, his wealth, okay, which was the body and the spirit of the existent, it also disappeared before his death, even the melting away of his gold, okay, and it was agreed that there was no likeness. People really agreed afterwards, yes, the ruined merchant, okay, and that majestic face which is seen on the mountain, there is no similarity in between. Okay, now this assumption was over. After that, what happened? Another son of the valley, it came and it had become a soldier. It means there was one of the boy who has taken birth on that valley. He has grown up, and one day he has become a soldier. And after so many years, when he came back, okay, and he became a very famous commander, okay, and he was very much famous. He was known for his bravery and for his blood and thunder, okay, and now that person, after serving in army, he got old and he got tired, okay, and he now expressed his wish that he wanted to come back to his native place where he has taken birth. Okay, so the inhabitants, it means the people who were living there, all the neighbors, all the grown-up children, they all were standing there. They all were so excited to welcome that renowned means very much famous commander, because that commander has taken birth on that place. After doing a lot of struggle, he has, you can say, got that position. He has become so famous, and now he came back when he became old. Okay, so the people were so excited. They gave him a very warm welcome. Okay, and the people, all the old neighbors, all the grown-up children, they all gave him a very huge and warm welcome. So this famous commander was welcomed by all, and now the people were saying that there is a similarity between the face of great stone face and that commander. It really appeared. Okay, so when such kind of assumption was spread in that area, so people really became eager. Okay, they were so excited. Okay, and the people who had never seen that great stone face, now they were standing there and they were spending their maximum time. They were spending a lot of time to gaze at. To gaze at means to look continuously. Okay, so they were simply gazing, they were looking at that image continuously. Okay, and they just want to make comparison, they want to see the likeness, they want to see the similarity between that great stone face and between that commander. Okay, so now the people, they were, you can say, gazing at that image only for the sake of knowing this thing, that how that blood and thunder person, that who is really a famous commander, now how does it look. Okay, so now they went on the gate, they gave they were so eager to receive that person. So finally when journal arrived, okay, and Ernest also and other people of that valley also, they left their work in between and they proceeded. Proceeded means they moved further at the spot. Proceeded means moved further. But you write down the meaning of difficult word. Proceeded. 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 Proceeded means moved further. So basically they moved further. Okay, at the spot. Spot means here, place. So they moved at the place, okay, where great banquet had been prepared. It means where one of the party was organized to receive that person. So what kind of party was there? The soldiers were standing there on guard, flags were being you can say waved. Okay, the crowd was speaking too loud. Okay, and Ernest was also standing among that crowd, but he was so far. Okay, and he was not able to see the exact face of blood and thunder person, that famous commander. Okay, but when he was listening different kind of voices, yes it is same, yes it is same exactly. One of the person was crying and he was dancing with joy. He was becoming immensely happy to see that the person face was resembling with that you can say great stone face and commander, both face were having same resemblance. Okay, so one of the person spoke like that. Second person also replied, yes, it's really wonderful. It is really surprising that both the person, that commander also and the great stone face, they both have same face. Okay, and third person also started crying. Yes, yes, why not? Because he is the greatest person of this of other age, beyond a doubt, that there is no doubt at all, there is no suspicion in that, that this person face is resembling that, and this person is the greatest man of this. Okay, but afterwards what happened, Ernest at last he also was able to see journal face in a same glass to the other side, and he could also see Gravestone face also. But now Ernest tried to recognize that there was any similarity between both the faces. So it was really a pathetic, it was really a bad that he was not able to recognize, he was not able to find out any of the similarity between two faces. Okay, so his heart was saying him something. What was that? From his heart, he listened that what was his internal intention, what was his internal sound which was saying to him that you don't need not worry. Okay, because fear not, Ernest, he will come. It means what was the sound he listened from his heart, that one day that person who really resembles that great stone face, that person would definitely come one day. Still he was having a hope, because now again his hope dashed to ground when he looked at that commander. Every person was raising slogans, every person was waving flags, they were giving him, they were shouting like mad person, and they were saying yes, there is a similarity, both the persons are having same face, so like that. But Ernest, he was still having some hope in his mind that one day he would be able to see that exact person whose face would be same like of that stone face. So such kind of intention he was having in his mind, such thirst of, you can say, desire of seeing that particular person. But now all the villagers were having the belief that commander is having same face, but he was not having that desire. Okay, so now time is running, time has run out. We will be continuing this topic. We will do question answers tomorrow. So my dear student, you find out all the question answer, try to find out the answers, and we will be discussing all these question answers and back exercise tomorrow. So all of you get ready with this. Okay, students, now I'm going to over your class. Take care of yourself. Go through this chapter again, okay, and find out answers.